Hello and welcome everybody to this Azure Synapse Espresso. I'm joined here today by Thomas, and we're going to talk about ChatGPT and OpenAI and how to link it with Azure Synapse. But first of all, Thomas, who are you? Please introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Thomas Kosters. I'm a cloud solution architect in Belgium for data and AI.
Okay, perfect. So today we're actually going to talk about OpenAI and ChatGPT and how you can leverage it in Azure Synapse. So my first question to you, Thomas, is what is this OpenAI and what is this ChatGPT and how can we use it?
Fair question. So what is Azure OpenAI and what do we have over here? We have, let's say, 4 models, model series, model families, call it the way you want. First of all, we have GPT-3. GPT-3 is able to understand text, you provide some text to it, and you get a response in natural language. It's also this model that is used by ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is like a more fine-tuned model based on conversational AI. So it uses GPT-3 under the hood, but more fine-tuned. Where GPT-3 is more general purpose, you can do stuff like summarization, translation, sentiment analysis, and so on. Then we also have Codex. Codex is able to understand code, is able to understand language, so you can provide natural language and it gives you the code, but also the other way around. You provide code and you get the explanation back. And then lastly, we have DALL-E. DALL-E, it was like the first big buzz. You provide natural language, you define what you want to see, and it generates an image for you. How do we use OpenAI service or where is it positioned? Well, actually, it's positioned within the cognitive services in Azure, meaning that it just provides us with an API and we can do an API call to it using API key and it will give us back a response in JSON. And this is how we can work with it.
Okay, but this is OpenAI and ChatGPT. Now, how does this work in Synapse? Can we actually use this in Synapse as well?
Of course, otherwise it would be quite stupid to be here. Yes, we can. There is a library called SynapseML that we can use for it. SynapseML is like an open source library that you can use to build massively scalable machine learning pipelines in Spark. It's built based on Apache Spark distributed framework, and it gives you a variety of APIs to perform a variety of machine learning tasks. In our case, we're very interested in a very specific one, namely an API that gives us access to what is called pre-built intelligent services, aka Azure Cognitive Services. And as we just saw, Azure Cognitive Services, it contains OpenAI. So this is how we can use it from within Synapse Spark pools.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look at it.
So to start off, here we have the documentation page on SynapseML because it is capable of way more than only cognitive services. We'll put the link in the notes and you can find all the documentation you need over here. But let's now switch to our Synapse workspace. I'm here in my Synapse workspace. I'm at my data lake and I have here 2 CSV files. The one that I'm going to use is this one, the restaurant review. It contains restaurants and their reviews, and it's been generated by using ChatGPT. I just told ChatGPT, give me 20 restaurants and a review, and it generated them for me. Now, let's go to our Develop tab. And here you can find a notebook that I've prepared. So we're here in my Synapse notebook, my Spark notebook. First thing we are going to do is define the Azure OpenAI service. We're going to define the deployment that I've created. Text DaVinci Tableau 3, it's like the most advanced GPT-3 model that we can use in Azure. And then lastly, I'm going to retrieve my secret from my key vault using the name of the secret. Next up, we're defining a data frame. We're going to read in the restaurant review. As you can see over here, it's just a CSV file that I've shown you before. We're going to put it in a data frame, and here you can see the content. Just some restaurants and a review, again, all generated by ChatGPT. Next up, we're defining the prompt. because what we need to do is give a command to the GPT-3 model, to OpenAI, on what it has to do. As you can see over here, we say classify the sentiment of following restaurant, classifications, and here you can see the classifications. They can be, or I define them to be, positive, negative, or neutral. We concatenate it with a review and we ask for the classification. A bit further below, you see the prompt that has been created. So restaurant review and the prompt, and it's this prompt that we will use to retrieve the sentiment analysis. Next up, and this is where SynapseML comes into play. So we imported OpenAICompletion because it's a completion API call that we're going to do. We provide a prompt and it completes it. We define the API call. Couple of things to note here. We use the variables that we used. So the key, the deployment name of our service, so the OpenAI service, and we say over here which column of our data frame will contain the prompt. In our case, the column name is prompt. Very easy. And we continue. And next up, we're going to use it, of course. Data frame, we call the API. Here is the API definition. And we give the data frame containing our prompt, and we're going to cache it, so it's easier to use it later on. If we take a look at the response, we don't have any errors. Two new columns are created, the error column and the response column. And it's the response column that's interesting to us. It contains, I'm not going to go into much detail, but it contains the JSON, the response from our OpenAI API. And then last up, we're going to read from it. So the newly created data frame is over here. We're going to select some columns, restaurant review, and it's a JSON. So we're going to retrieve, we're going to parse the JSON and retrieve a certain field from it called text field. That's the response we get from OpenAI. And if we take a look at what we get the restaurant, we get a review, and it does a sentiment analysis. For example, food here is always delicious, blah, blah, blah. That's a positive one. Let's take a look at a negative one. Pasta dishes are okay, but the ambience leaves much to be desired. Service is slow. That's a negative. And so you see, that's actually all there is to do. It's very easy to use the OpenAI, the GPT-3 models from within Synapse.
Awesome. That basically means that we can just use this OpenAI features to enrich our data and actually do some analysis on our data and prove and get more value out of the data that we're putting into our Synapse. And you see, it's really easy. You can just get it into your Spark notebooks and just analyze it. Now, if this was the first time you're visiting our channel and you like the video, just give us a big thumbs up. If you like more of this content, just subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of playlists on here on different and various topics. But that concludes the video of today. So as always, from the Azure Synapse Espresso team, this is Stijn.
This is Thomas.
Bye.
Bye.